What is up, Star Seeds? It's Sid, and today we are going to be talking about mirror neurons. Perhaps you've heard of them. If not, that's okay. This video is for you. Or if you have, this video is for you. It's good to get a new perspective. So I have heard about mirror neurons for a couple years now, and I've always found them really interesting. I believe the first place I heard about them was in psychology class, which I took in high school. I love science, I love brain science, so it's always been an interest of mine. I've just always wanted to do a video on it, so that's what we're doing today. Eventually, maybe I'll do more videos on different parts and or aspects of brain science and the brain, but for now, we're just going to do a little quick overview of mirror neurons, which were discovered in the early 1990s, so there's, like most science and brain science in particular, not a ton of information about it, but there's been some studies done. Back in 2013, there had been over 800 articles published on mirror neurons. That was almost 10 years ago, so I'm sure there has been thousands of articles posted about mirror neurons now, but not that many studies still. So basically, what is this mirror neuron effect? It's when parts of your brain are activated not only when you do something, but when you see someone do it. For instance, if I pick up this computer mouse, you know, I'm gripping it with my hand, I'm picking it up, there's parts of my brain that are firing and that are active while I'm doing that to be able to do that. If I watch someone pick up a laptop mouse, the same parts of my brain are active and firing as if I were doing it myself, just by watching someone do that. So naturally, people question and debate and are just curious, you know, why does that happen? Is it because you're simply thinking about doing it? Is it because we have empathy? You know, it's not always emotional, okay? Empathy, brain-wise, is that a form of empathy? You know, it's not like, oh, you know, all this emotion, you know, I feel for you so much. But is that like a slight form of empathy? Like, oh, that part of your brain is firing because you're putting yourself in that person's shoes, you know? How are they picking up this, you know, computer mouse? Like, and you kind of feel that. Brain-wise, you walk yourself through that process completely subconsciously, unconsciously even. So is it empathy? Or is it simply thinking about it and it's a process of like learning? Because what if you watch someone do something that you've never done before? You know, do those same parts of your brain fire as if you were going to actually do them? I have never seen a study specifically on that. You know, someone that would have to be like a newborn baby, which no one has done tests for mirror neurons on newborn babies that I'm aware of, at least. I feel like that's the only way to really understand that question. You know, if you watch someone do something that you've never experienced at all, you have no clue what they're doing, will the same parts of your brain fire? Probably, in my opinion. That's my hypothesis on that. But I also don't want to see someone do a test on a newborn baby. So these are the theories. You know, is it empathy? Is it simply thinking about it? Or is it like a process of learning? Is it a mixture of all of them? My guess is it's a mixture of all of them, and there's different aspects for, you know, there's different aspects for each of these points that I just mentioned. And I feel like that's kind of common sense, that you know, parts of your brain are going to fire if you watch someone do something as the same parts if you're actually going to do it. That only makes sense because your brains are very complicatedly simple, to be honest. But there's a lot going on there, so that makes sense if you watch someone do something that, you know, those parts of your brain will fire as well. It would make less sense to me if they didn't, because like I said, your brain's like a computer, you know? There's lots and lots going on there. you make so many neurological connections every second whenever you see anyone do anything, whenever you do anything, whenever you're learning, and we're constantly learning because we just absorb information. And, you know, I'm a mom of a toddler and I'm a daycare worker. So I learn all about that in my training, and I learn all about that, you know, when I read up on things, because I'm a mom and I like to read up on things like that about toddlers and whatnot. And they're, you know, extra spongy. They're sponges, they're soaking up everything. And adults do that too, but of course toddlers do it more, and babies do it because they're experiencing the world, they're learning everything, they're soaking it up. So it really only makes sense to me that that's what's happening. And, you know, sure, we could do more research and really figure it out more, but I feel like mirror neurons are just kind of like a common sense thing that our body does. Most of the research done on mirror neurons has been done in like 2015, a little bit before, a little bit after, but really they were like discovered in the early 1990s, and now we're getting into the last like 10 years primarily more research on them. There's been studies done on monkeys, you know, primates, humans, birds, and I believe those are the three like species that we have fully confirmed the mirror neuron effect, as I like to call it. Because if you say mirror neuron, you know, people think little tiny neurons in your brains, but really I see this as like a whole just like effect. It's the mirror neuron effect is what I like to call it. One of the really cool things you can read about mirror neuron test, like one of the first things that pop up if you research this on EcoScience, is that if a monkey, first of all, fully witnesses another monkey rip a piece of paper, and then they hear from another room a piece of paper ripping, mirror neuron effect. If they see a human ripping a piece of paper, same thing, mirror neuron effect. Doesn't matter if a monkey watches a monkey do it, a human do it, a freaking elephant do it, the same effect happens. Even if they hear a piece of paper being ripped, it happens. There's also been studies done to see if there's a difference between males and females as far as mirror neurons go, and it does seem like females have greater mirror neuron skills, if you will, especially regarding emotion and motor skills. However, males and females both equally identified emotions in others. Females just kind of reacted to that emotion more, if that makes sense. Like if someone asked you how that other person is feeling, males and females both could tell you the emotion and recognize it very easily. Females just had a similar response, mirror neuron wise, whereas males didn't have as strong of a similar response. A major question that scientists seem to have about mirror neurons is, do people with autism have mirror neurons? Does this effect happen to them? And there has been like kind of contradicting studies done on this, and in my opinion, yes, they absolutely have mirror neurons, okay? Autism is a spectrum, and yes, people on this spectrum do have the mirror neuron effect happen, and I feel like that is blatantly obvious in my own personal interactions with people with autism, because they show great empathy most of the time, most of the people with autism that I have met and interacted with, and they do show that they learn certain things and pick up on certain things. However, everybody is different, and in my opinion, people with autism are just vibrating on a different frequency. Okay, their DNA is really activated in a different way because they are vibrating on a higher frequency, and therefore they require more high vibrational things so that they are living in an environment and consuming things that are closer of a vibrational match for them. And if they are living in a, say, chaotic environment, which is lower frequency than what they're vibrating at, they are going to have a reaction because they're not in alignment. So they seem dysfunctional because they're in an environment that isn't aligned with them. noises might bother them because they're in a higher frequency and they need a different environment. I believe that if an autistic person were placed in an environment that was a vibrational match for them, that they would seem completely quote-unquote normal to non-autistic people. And like I said, autism is on a spectrum. Everything in the universe is on a spectrum. So of course, there's going to be people at the higher end or the lower end of the spectrum. You know, if anything, mirror neurons might affect people with autism a bit more. And if anything, they actually have stronger mirror neuron skills, I guess you could call it. You know, the ability to empathize, the ability to watch someone do something, and therefore learn how to do it yourself. The ability to subconsciously and unconsciously watch something and process how to do it, which is really, you know, learning. Being aware of your surroundings, just taking it all in unconsciously and subconsciously, which could therefore overstimulate. The other thing about mirror neurons that I have to mention is I believe this is why, you know, you watch someone yawn and then you yawn. Even if you didn't really consciously fully comprehend that someone yawned around you, you yawn. And then you're like, did you just yawn? You're like, yeah. You're like, whoa. That's why it happens. If someone crosses their legs, then usually you cross your legs. If you're at a dinner or you're at a restaurant, you're just having a meal with people, right? And you see someone, or even just in general, maybe you're just working and you see your coworker take a sip of water, and then you're like, oh yeah, I want a sip of water too. Mirror neurons. We are all one, baby. We are all one. Also want to talk about from a spiritual perspective now, because I love this scientific spirituality. So I got this download of information earlier today, and that is that extraterrestrial aliens, beings in our universe, they have mirror neurons as well. Most of them do. And the extraterrestrials that do not have mirror neurons are not as advanced as us. They don't have spaceships. They don't travel. They're not advanced like, you know, the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and all of them. So the ETs that don't have mirror neurons are what we would consider not advanced, okay? All advanced extraterrestrial races have a form of mirror neurons, and that was this download that I got, and I just clarified with my pendulum as well. If you guys have any questions that you would like me to ask my pendulum, please let me know, because I would love to do videos on, like, you know, pendulum answers, because boy, I tell you, that copper, man, that copper will tell me yes or no to anything, and the information is from my higher self. I just like to use a copper pendulum to kind of clarify my downloads. It is me, it is my higher self controlling my pendulum, just to get any of that weird heebie-jeebie out of the way. So if you are interested in scientific spirituality, anything within this realm, please consider subscribing to my channel, like this video, share this video, comment on this video. I usually never say this, but everyone seems to be saying this on YouTube, so I figured I would give it a try, because I am really ready to expand myself, expand, you know, what I do on this platform. I have been doing a YouTube video every week for almost 4 years now. Is that right? Yeah, almost 4 years now. Wow. And yeah, I do astrology reports. I do intuitive readings, usually consisting mainly of past life, parallel future life information from the Akashic records. And I do past life regression, or just, you know, any type of regression hypnosis as well. So, thank you for watching. Peace.